What is going on, guys, and welcome to CSS tutorial. In this video we're going to talk about how we can actually affect div elements by actually changing the height and the size of a div element, right? So now that we know that if we want to select a separate div, we would need to create a class. In this case it's going to be red, in this case it's going to be blue. And what we already know that if we want to actually style those classes, we can write it either the name of the class, or we can in front of the class we can write what type of element the class has. So in this case it would be div, and it would be the same result if I would write class or just div and then the class. So they would work both the same way. Now I want to show you that how with div we can obviously start styling the width and the height of an element, right? So let's say that I would want a 700 pixels over here. That's going to be my width. And then the next thing that I want to show the height, let's say, is going to be like 100 pixels, right? But obviously we cannot see anything because we haven't done anything with the background. So we'll do the background color. And again, down the list, we're just going to Dodger blue, right? So you can see how my whole screen right now is, you see this box over here, and because obviously my screen is smaller, it's still going all the way. It has no margins because my screen is smaller. Now if I want to do the same thing over here, I'm just going to copy this div over here, and I'm going to create for my blue box. But you can see that I did a mistake over here. Here I'm going to write blue, because that's going to be my blue, and red over here, we're just going to switch it to red. And now we have red over here. And obviously here I'm just going to change it around. I'm going to say that this is going to be 100 and this is going to be, I don't know, 300, something like that. So you can see right now how if by changing the width and height, that's how we can style our divs and whatever is inside the div. Now here's the deal though. Padding and margin will gonna affect our boxes, because let's say right now I'm just gonna create two equal boxes, 100 and 100. You can see two equal boxes. Now nothing to complain about, right? However, let's say I'll do this. I'm gonna add padding for this one, and let's say I'm gonna add padding all around. So let's say 20 pixels over here, and you can see right away how my box got bigger. You're like, okay, well, I mean, what's the big deal, right? So let's do the same thing, and let's add the margin. And let's say that I'm going to add margin to, I don't know, like 10 pixels all around, right? Now you can see margin doesn't affect, it just moved my box. So I'm just going to get rid of it again. So the only thing that happened, the box was moving. It didn't become bigger or smaller. However, if I create border over here, and I'm just going to do it like the shortcut that we learned. Let's say I'm going to add 5 pixels, solid black. That's going to be my color. And you can see it even got even more bigger. Now here's the deal. When you are working with the boxes, and let's say initially these two boxes were actually exactly the same size, right? 100 and 100. However, what happens is when you're adding padding, left and right padding is actually added, and also the border is added. So let's say if I'm adding over here a padding of 20, it's actually 40 pixels are being added to the box, and also 10 more pixels left and right are added to the box. So that's what you always need to keep in mind when you're dealing actually with the width, and the same thing happens with the height. If we're adding left and top and bottom, if the padding is added top and bottom, and the height and the border is added top and bottom. So if you want to create two equal boxes, you need to keep in mind that the padding and the border is going to affect the actual size of the box. Now, one more thing that I want to show you is that what I really like is using the percentages, because I think that always kind of helps to actually visualize everything. Instead of wondering how many pixels is where, we can always just go 80%, let's say. I always like 80, I guess. And this is my width over here. And over here, I'm also gonna go 80%, right? So I just go 80%, and the same thing over here as 80%. Now you can still see that the padding and the border adds it. So let's say I'm gonna get rid of it right now, and you can say again they're both equal the size because I've used the width with 80%, and both of them have the same height. This is gonna be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.